Model number PGI X30G1, ALYSNES. It will be important to know this unit well, although I'm sure you at least know the basics after your little descent down the outside of an orbital lift a week ago, but as a new member of Shadow, there is some information you need to know before you are ready for training. Standing at 16.1 meters tall, weighing 30.1 tons gross and 20.3 tons tear, meaning your armor is under 10 tons since it's counted alongside the weapons in the difference between gross and tear weight, and that's actually less than the Dino armor, but that's a story for another time. It has the classifications removable armor and weapon switch for its armor and ability to swap between melee and ranged attacks. ALYSNES is a special break striker being made with no basis that was being worked upon, only being a finished version of a prototype, and that was finished by Pyrogenesis, who is known for upgrading mechs rather than making entirely unique ones. This medium attacker is really something special, and you're lucky to be the pilot of this thing. Its development was shrouded in a lot of mystery, and only through an anonymous source inside Pyrogenesis were we able to learn that its original name was Sturgeon, and that it served as the prototype for the Mind Bridge type strikers, being the progenitor of all break strikers and 3rd gen strikers. Even though it was the most recent to be completed, which I guess they were just busy making all the other ones since they got done with Sturgeon. It originally belonged to the Marciana Braintech Institute, but when the development team left to form Pyrogenesis, they took Sturgeon and overhauled it. With their new cutting-edge break specifications, they turned Sturgeon into ALYSNES, so it's Pyrogenesis' only unique model. Several military observers have insisted that the machine has made multiple appearances on the battlefield during events such as the Crimson New Year, achieving overwhelming victories and indicating the direction for new strikers, although the authenticity of these claims is dubious at best, given that you are yet to bring this out on the field. Like, even in canon lore, not just the joke in the actual thing, where it actually has been out on the field, but official documents never outright say that to have some plausible deniability. Like, your first mission takes place 2 years after the orbital lift, when it was first used. Like, they literally state, we won't let you go naked like your last atmospheric entry. That's referring to how your armor was destroyed during the drop, which means that was the last time it was used. So it kind of been at the Crimson New Year. So the timeline is messed up. Nevertheless, Pyrogenesis is more than happy to boast about the amazing performance and impressive combat record of this unit, despite how that can't be the case. Also, the ALYSNES has some similarities to the Gundam Exia, so I will point them out. Don't worry, it'll make more sense when we eventually get to talking about some more of the units, and especially the Constantine. Unlike other break strikers, ALYSNES has more than 5 main abilities to utilize, thanks to its dropped armor form equipment. Though I apologize, it gets an induced sword, we literally know nothing about it, there's no names, no data sheets, no records, nothing. So that's just a gap in the story. The Heavy Ion Energy Autocannon, its prototype, named Yun Hao, was an energy cannon developed by integrating components from the Volterra Alliance, the Thalassic Federation, and the Commonwealth of Lunar Mare. Yun Hao quickly earned the nickname Her Majesty among pilots due to its heavy maintenance requirements. Pyrogenesis put it through multiple rounds of modifications in quick succession, with many key components being replaced by Pyrogenesis proprietary designs. After these changes, it became the Heavy Ion Energy Autocannon, and received formal approval and is being considered complete. It is a projectile-type weapon that deals energy damage and uses projectile hit types, needing the laser to travel and hit a target, much like real-life bullets, as opposed to hit scan, which travels its entire range fully and instantly, only needing to be pointed at a target to ensure a hit. Due to this, you may need to give it a moment to track the enemy based on their movement. A smaller triangle inside the lock-on triangle will move to where the enemy will be to automatically shoot there. Just keep in mind the extra movement to aim in mind when going after highly mobile enemies, and keep in mind that this attack type is much easier to dodge than hit scan due to the fact that you can see it coming. When its instant attack is used, the one with no charge up time, each blast will deal 1,350 damage, firing 10 rounds in a second. But if it is charged, it deals 1,200 damage due to splitting the power amongst 30 bolts being sent out at once. It takes 1.5 seconds to fully charge, the downside being that the shots are far more scattered about, though this does mean that if an enemy tries to dodge, they may still take some damage. It reloads 10 shots every 2 seconds, constantly reloading even when in use, so swapping to your halberd when you are low means you can swap back later to a fully reloaded weapon. Though if there are any abilities that change weapons, even getting on a glider, the reload process for any weapon will continue in the background on weapons where you just need to press a button to reload early. Even the glider weapons adhere to this rule, so reloading something like Tricera's Gatling guns, then hopping on a glider works, or doing the same for the glider, starting the reload then getting off. And this is true for swapping to modular weapons as well. But let's get back to ALYSNES rather than tips and tricks. It has a max magazine size of 60 rounds, so you can fire 100 rounds before being empty, since 10 a second, but you get 10 back every 2 seconds. So your magazine will be at 60, then 50, then 50, then 40, then 30, then 30, then 20, then 10, then 10, then 0, for 100 shots total. And it can target any enemy up to 500 meters away. It's best to charge up and get close to fire 30 shots for a devastating amount of damage before swapping to a melee weapon to continue your close quarters encounter with an enemy. The Chinya Complex Shield. It will block all frontal attacks and can parry any melee attack when perfect blocked, putting up the shield right before an attack hits, though you have about a second leeway with this. The shield has more coverage when it's first used and gets a bit smaller after a few seconds of usage. While ALYSNES was being developed, some insisted that fluid armor would be enough for the striker, but they quickly changed their minds when they witnessed the abilities of the Yulong Battle Halberd, which was only about 80% complete at the time. It's more likely that they saw the close quarters combat potential of ALYSNES and saw why a shield would help improve those capabilities, rather than thinking that the halberd was so bad it would need a shield to help, but it was never stated to be that way. You can see how much shield is left by seeing the extra shield on the left of your HUD, by the way. That little extra segment, that will be used for all shields and force fields that your strikers are capable of utilizing. Overall, this shield should be used to get up close whilst taking minimal damage before unleashing all your attacks to overwhelm your foes and take them down. Its weapon type is Defense Shield, an important distinction given that shields are well known for not really being used in defense. And it has the special effect Staggered. Most shields have this. If it's pulled up before a melee attack hits, instead of ignoring the shield, like melee attacks will, the attack will be parried and the enemy will be staggered and temporarily immobilized for a counter. This is known as the perfect block. It's great for counter attacks, or getting some distance in order to continue parrying attacks whilst escaping, though the shield has the special effect that will automatically counter attacks for the halberd, something other parries won't do. So if you have the halberd up and you're not using it, if you get melee attacked from the front, you will automatically parry it. Although the people gathering footage for the database didn't think to have the halberd equipped, since they decided to go with the energy autocannon, so we don't really have footage of that, but this is nowhere near the largest blunder that they made for these records. It has a shield capacity of 40,000, which is a large amount of health that it gives you. And when it runs out, it just needs some time to recharge. Speaking of, this shield regenerates at a rate of 1,600 a second, but shields will only regenerate when not in use, and they need about 1 second of not being in use to begin regenerating their health. Also, its design, once the energy gets smaller, reminds me of the Gundam 00 Quant shield, with how the smaller inner section has these little energy protrusions that go out to increase the coverage from the center, just without there being sword bits. I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of 00 references in here. The Yulong Battle Halberd. It's a formidable weapon based off the Shuangjua Halberd. It may not hold the agility of the Kang Feng Straight Sword, but it makes up for that with its attack range and damage, granting it qualitative advantages against enemies in melee range. It's potent, the part that does the most damage, is a specially crafted Corixium blade, meaning it was made using refined Corite, granting it capabilities of disrupting the coupled state of armor and fields, completely bypassing all shields and barriers. Its texture is often compared to that of a pearl, adding to its allure and reputation. You can swap out your energy autocannon to equip the battle halberd. It attacks with 3 slashes and then a thrust, and also has an aerial attack that has you thrusting into the ground that bypasses any attempts to parry. Each attack will cause a small knockback and stagger, allowing for follow-up attacks. Using the same button as before, you can swap your halberd back to your energy autocannon. When possible, use this weapon to keep melee strikers from attacking allies by attacking using a weapon that won't let them escape its range, nor enter range to counterattack. Another long explanation here is the introduction to the mechanics of melee. The battle halberd is of the weapon type melee damage, rather than just melee, but whatever. It does melee damage, which can bypass shields and fluid armor, but as mentioned in the complex shield, can be parried, except for when used for the aerial sky-to-ground attack. So when you're up in the sky and your opponent is on the ground, you can strike them and they cannot parry it. These attacks will cause the special effect staggered, which will cause them to not be able to do anything for a second, allowing for follow-up attacks for the full combo. It deals 4 attacks, unlike most weapons, which will deal 3 melee attacks, dealing 11,000, 12,500, 10,500 damage respectively, with the final thrust dealing 8,050 damage. The downward slash deals 18,150, but only works as a single attack, as the stagger is not enough to allow you to follow up with more melee attacks. It only works when you are within range for it, being very close but above the enemy. If you are far away, then you will just use a boost attack to chase downwards. If I remember correctly, this should hold true for other aerial slash attacks. Its ground attack combo will take 1,000 energy per hit, and 1,500 for each attack done in the air. This is likely due to the cost to maintain attacks while floating, and is likely also the cost that will be used in the aerial downward slash, as I could not find any cost stated. It can lock onto targets up to 500 meters away, and if they're outside of attack range but within lock-on range, then you'll use a boost attack, where you will automatically move at high speeds towards the locked-on target. This is the highest speed that you are able to move within the game. If you attempt to attack with no one locked on, you will enter a boost attack with no set target, moving across the field at high speeds until you either run out of energy or lock onto a target and automatically chase after them. Using the boost attack takes 6,000 energy for the initial boost and costs 4,400 energy for every second that you continue to travel. Using a boost attack, or just an attack with no target, has some benefits, such as the fact that the boost attack in the modular weapon, the Induced Sword, which is very similar to all other melee weapons with its boost attack, can allow slower units to keep up with faster units' movement, due to the fact that anyone can have the Induced Sword modular weapon and then use its boost. There is also a stat called Pursuit. There is no explanation for what this does. It could be the distance you move a second during boost attacks, but it could be how far a melee attack can go to continue a combo, since enemies get pushed back and staggered. I don't really know what Pursuit does. Side note, the Kang Feng sword, as I've been pronouncing it, is likely a mistranslation of the word Chang Feng, and is likely the sword that is used when without armor, being the only piece of information that we know about that sword, if true. The Jiaoshi Gauss autocannon. Firing a high explosive arrow, ALYSNES carries 2 of these, equipped to its shoulders, unfolding down to its waist to fire 2 shots in quick succession. Made for rapid-fire capabilities, the advanced artillery system features multiple sets of high-capacity polymer capacitors that store a tremendous amount of energy, allowing for a non-stop barrage not hindered by any power limitations. Keep in mind that using its salvos needs time to recharge the arrows, which are made from a special organic polymers and dense metal powders, packing a powerful punch upon impact, making them highly effective against a large range of targets. They have 3 shots each, needing to reload, taking 8 seconds to recharge 1 round at a time, being done automatically. The Gauss cannons are a projectile type weapon that deals 9,000 blast damage and has a blast radius of 30 meters. It can lock onto a target up to 500 meters away. The special effect of blast weapons is their radius. Anything within that radius, when the attack hits, will also take damage, allowing for hitting multiple targets at once. Extreme threats units such as Mikalu have multiple targets on their body, and thus this can allow you to damage them and even destroy them at the same time. Blast attacks will be very beneficial during the larger boss fights when you need to take out all of its weapons whilst fighting it. The Beijing Airdrop Kit. Its fast response vastly enhances ALYSNES' survivability. When ALYSNES' armor is removed, standby beacons activate to guide the airdrop compartment carrying additional equipment, allowing the pilot to easily send a signal for new armor and weaponry to quickly assemble around ALYSNES. When used, ALYSNES puts up a barrier that parries melee attacks. Not sure about ones that bypass parry, but that will be up to you to find out. Hopefully not on the receiving end. In order to protect from all damage whilst new equipment is being attached, it puts up that barrier. The only downside being that it can only be used once per deployment, given how long it will take to recharge. By the time it's ready, good chance you've gone down. The ability to use the armor and get a new set, giving you a total of 3 health bars, comes with the caveat that you have very low health normally, quickly dropping to 0 and losing armor, and then having to change to a new set of armor. So keep in mind that your health will be dropping rapidly. Though, if you work it properly, you can end up with 4 health bars, 1 set of armor, 1 set of no armor, second set of armor, second set of no armor. It is a functional weapon type, which just means that it performs a function that does not deal or block damage or heal. The airdrop kit's force field has a capacity of 80,000, which will be more than enough for the few seconds that it is in use, and if something tries to melee attack, it will perfect block the attack and they will be staggered. The full process takes 6 seconds, and you'll need 130 seconds to reload another airdrop kit. This does mean that it can be recharged, but that's only going to happen during long-term deployments such as within Mashmak. And this ability can only be utilized after armor purge. When without armor, ALYSNES becomes an entirely different beast, changing out their battle halberd for an induced sword, likely the sword I mentioned earlier, though it likely has the capabilities of an induced sword. So, while I can't tell you its stats, and I can't tell you which level of induced sword it refers to, I can tell you that it will likely be operating in the same fashion. We can talk more about it when we get to the shield blade that Panther uses in a few days, but it uses 3 slashing attacks and does not have any 4 thrusting attack. The energy autocannon goes from firing in bursts and charging for a larger burst to firing single shots when tapped and rapid firing with no scattering when held. Everything else is about the same though, with all the same recharge times. Without the armor, your shield is also lost, but in exchange you move a lot faster and your dodges will leave a trail that has an after image that will steal the lock-on of your enemies, meaning your enemies will be unable to target you for a second. Once again, much like the Exia when it enters Trans Am. Overall, ALYSNES exists as a show of what the future may hold, and is a highly capable break striker who can use its layered armor to survive through many deadly trials. Take good care of it, newbie.